Welcome to Asian Economy Channel. I'm Antony. In this video, we will delve into the latest developments in global affairs, international relations, and technology. Specifically, we'll analyze the impending trillion-dollar U.S. debt and the fiscal shortfall the country is facing. Just 2 days before the U.S. Treasury is expected to become insolvent, President Joe Biden signed the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2023, which received approval from both houses of Congress. This legislation aims to address the federal government's debt ceiling and budget concerns. With the bill now signed, the months-long bipartisan battle has come to an end, temporarily averting the potential threat of a first-ever U.S. government debt default. While the signing of the bill temporarily avoids the risk of a debt default, uncertainties remain about how the U.S. will strengthen its position as the world's leading economy. According to the bipartisan agreement that has become law, the U.S. government debt ceiling will be suspended until January 1, 2025. This ensures that the next partisan battle over the debt ceiling does not coincide with the presidential election in November 2024. During this period, the government's borrowing needs will be met. In exchange for suspending the debt ceiling, Republicans have demanded increased defense spending while implementing budget cuts in other areas of government expenditure. At the same time, taxes will not be raised. This policy choice of no tax increases and cuts in non-defense spending could have implications for various stakeholders. Analysts generally believe that the extensive spending measures taken by the U.S. government in recent years to stimulate the economy and employment may result in a significant reduction in non-defense discretionary spending. This reduction is likely to affect financial market liquidity and introduce new shocks to an already struggling U.S. economy grappling with high interest rates. Meanwhile, inflation remains high, and the effects of the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes are reverberating throughout the economy. The consequences of recent bank failures and the ensuing credit crunch remain unpredictable. Investors are expressing concerns about the potential issuance of over $1 trillion in Treasury bonds by the U.S. Treasury. They fear that this could trigger a new wave of volatility in financial markets. The Treasury Department has indicated that its cash balance has dropped to the lowest level since 2017 due to the debt ceiling issue. It aims to restore the general echo to approximately $600 billion by September. Investors are worried that the Treasury might need to issue a significant amount of debt. It is projected that the U.S. government could issue $850 billion in treasuries over the next 4 months, and require $1.1 trillion in short-term treasuries by the end of 2023, making it the largest issuance in U.S. Treasury history. The precise manner in which such substantial cash reserves will be raised is still unclear. Buyers of short-term treasuries include banks, money market funds, and non-bank entities such as households, pension funds, and corporate bonds. However, banks have shown limited interest in treasuries as they do not offer competitive returns compared to what they can earn on their reserves. Money market funds are expected to be the primary financiers in the current round of bond issuances due to the recent regional banking crisis. Many investors have shifted their funds from small banks to safer and more stable money market funds, which have grown to over $5 trillion in size in the U.S. However, to attract money market funds to invest in treasuries, the yields would need to be at least 5% or higher. This means that the U.S. government might need to issue bonds at a rate close to 6%, in contrast to the meager 0.1% seen a year and a half ago. The swift and large-scale issuance of debt by the U.S. Treasury within a short time frame has raised concerns among institutions and investors. They worry about its impact on market liquidity and the implications for the stock market and other financial sectors. The New York Times cautioned that such substantial and rapid borrowing would inevitably draw funds away from banks and other lenders, diverting them into U.S. treasuries. This would drain liquidity from the financial system and add pressure to regional lenders that are already under significant strain. Market liquidity indicators are expected to decline at an annual rate of 6%. According to J.P. Morgan analyst Nicolas Panagazoglu, due to the Federal Reserve's ongoing quantitative tightening policy. Such a contraction would only occur in a crisis as severe as the Lehman collapse. According to Bloomberg's analysis, a surge in Treasury issuance could rapidly deplete liquidity from the banking sector, leading to higher short-term funding rates and tightening the U.S. economy precisely when it teeters on the edge of recession. Banks may scramble to raise more money to purchase treasuries, further driving up financing costs and straining the financial system. Bank of America estimates that an extensive release of debt would have the same economic impact as a 25 basis point interest rate hike. Christopher Campbell, former Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Treasury from 2017 to 2018, expressed in an interview with the New York Times, "It's hard to imagine the Treasury potentially selling as much as $1 trillion in bonds into the market without affecting borrowing costs." He further noted that the potential economic impact could be extraordinary. The issuance of $1 trillion in Treasury bonds and the ensuing negative impact are the bitter consequences of the debt ceiling crisis. In January, the U.S. Treasury had already warned Congress about the impending reach of the debt ceiling. However, the two parties played political games until the last second, resulting in the need to issue nearly $1 trillion worth of bonds in just 4 months. Goldberg pointed out that the root cause remains the entire debt ceiling impasse. Furthermore, the U.S. Congressional Budget Office predicts that the federal budget deficit will reach $1.5 trillion in 2023 alone and nearly double to $2.7 trillion by 2033. Over the next 10 years, the U.S. budget deficit is projected to reach $20.2 trillion. In May of this year, the U.S. Government Accountability Office highlighted in its annual National Fiscal Health Report that the U.S. federal government is facing an unsustainable fiscal future. Without policy adjustments, the debt will continue to accumulate at a faster rate than economic growth, perpetuating the issue of the debt ceiling that plagues the United States. Public opinion generally attributes the occurrence of the U.S. debt ceiling crisis to 3 main factors. Firstly, the U.S. has experienced fiscal imbalances over the years, leading to a rapid increase in debt. Secondly, after the subprime crisis, the Federal Reserve pursued a prolonged, ultra-loose monetary policy, further contributing to the debt increase. Thirdly, the partisan struggle over the debt ceiling has intensified, making the debt issue increasingly politicized. Mark Godwin, Senior Policy Director of the Federal Budget Accountability Council, an independent U.S. research institute, stated that saving $8 trillion over the next 10 years would be desirable. However, the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2023 would only achieve 1.8 to 1/4 of that target, clearly falling short of solving the problem. Thank you for watching this video. I hope my analytics was useful for you. Like and subscribe, please.